Hi YouTubers, it's George. I'm in the shed today. The sun was trying to come out and I thought it would be okay to put the lathe outside in the garden to do some work on the lathe, but it's now raining. So I'm just sitting in the shed at the moment looking at what I'm going to do today. Yeah, I've got me cowboy hat on and so I'm sitting in the shed. I think what I'll do, what day is it? It's Tuesday. I think what I'll do today is I'll give you an update of my opinion of what's happening in the UK. And it's to do with car parking and parking of motorhomes. But while I'm waffling, rather than you look at me all this time, I think I'll put some slideshows of something up on this video. Now then, I'll start off with a little story. Many years ago, probably 8-10 years ago, something like that, we owned a Mitsubishi Shogun 6-seater 4-wheel drive, V6 3 litre petrol, and we used to tow a caravan with it. We used to take our children in it and the dogs, go all over the place because it would go off-road. We were on our way somewhere. I don't know whether we were on our way to Wales or somewhere. I just can't remember. But we normally would go in like Wetherspoons and have a coffee and maybe a breakfast on our journey on the way wherever we were going to. And we didn't have the caravan with us that day. I think we got the bikes in the Shogun, and we pulled into a town. It might have been Warrington, somewhere like that. And the reason why, we're going to go to Wetherspoons, which is just round the corner from this car park. Anyway, we parked up and I went to put my money in the slot, and I'm reading all the fine print as you do. I suddenly realised, although the vehicle would fit in the white lines, it was overweight. There was a weight limit in the car park. And it's the first time I'd ever come across a weight limit in the car park. Now what they do is, to try and limit the pollution in some towns, they put a weight limit on the car park so they don't get any commercial vehicles, and it discourages people from bringing them into the town, like vans and motorhomes and things. Didn't say no commercial vehicles, they just stuck on the list at the very fine print a weight limit. And of course our Shogun, because it was quite sturdy built, it was over the weight limit. Luckily I spotted it before I paid, so I went and parked somewhere else. But this brings me on to what's happening this year, 2020, in some of the car parks we used to use. Now, the football ground, rugby ground, tennis courts, athletics, running, there's no weight limit, there's no charging for parking, but they've installed height barriers. This is not necessarily to stop motorhomes. There's been a travelling community visit Corby quite a lot over the years, and they've caused quite a few problems. You know, they've not come in like one van, they've been like 15 vans arrive in the football ground car park, and when there's been a football match on, nobody dare park their cars, so it's been absolute chaos. And also those travelling community, you know, the ones that fix roads and remove salvage, scrap metal, and they've actually been forcing their way into the leisure facilities so they can use the showers. So the council has put up all these barriers, and they've also put them up, height barriers, in the country park, and that's where we used to go in the motorhome, and we go park up there, go for a walk around the country park, have a dinner in the van and come home again. Now it's only three or 4 miles from our home anyway. We can't go there now with our motorhome. And this has all happened in 2020. Now then, we do go to Derbyshire a lot, and we go all over the place in our motorhome. And we went back to Derbyshire, and we found where before we could park overnight in Matlock railway station car park, you could park overnight and sleep in your motorhome for £1 and use the toilets at the railway station. You cannot do that anymore. The toilets have become locked at night, and also you pay in the day. There's a fee for using the toilets, but you can park a vehicle overnight, but you can't stop in it. And they've changed the wording on some of the car parks as well. So as well as no sleeping, they actually use the words now, no occupancy overnight. So this applies to Matlock car park railway station near the supermarkets. It also applies to Monsell Head. You cannot park there with anybody in the van overnight. And supermarkets, let's talk about supermarkets for a minute. They've now changed the rules in a lot of supermarket car parking. Doesn't affect us, but you cannot have animals in your while parked unattended. So if you've got a dog and you want to leave it in your car or motorhome in a supermarket car park, you can't anymore. You're not allowed to leave that dog unattended in your vehicle while shopping or whatever you're doing in that car park. Now, moving on from that, because it does vary on which supermarket and which car park. But moving on now to just generally speaking about car parks. Another thing that's happened with a lot of car parks, they've started and imposed weight limits. And this is where it gets really stupid and silly. Now some car parks now have a weight limit of 1,600 kilograms. Some are set to 1,800 kilograms, where before they were 3,500 kilograms. And the daft thing is, the car parks have a weight limit of 1,600 kilograms. A lot of vehicles, normal cars, exceed that weight limit. And the really daft thing is, some of those car parks at 1,600 kilogram weight limit have charging points for electric cars. So most electric cars are over 1,600 kilograms. They come in at 1,800 kilograms or 1,700 kilograms. So if you've got an electric car and you want to charge it, you're not allowed to park to charge it. Now how ridiculous is that? The other thing that I've noticed, this is all changes this year, so you've got the weight limit to consider if you've got a motorhome, as it weighs in between 2,700 kilograms and 3,500, depends how it's loaded and how much fuel we've got in it and how much water. So we have to be very careful. Although there's no height barriers and it will fit in the normal white lines of a car, we can't park it in certain car parks. What else is there? I'm trying to think. Yes. If you've got motorhomes that take up 2 car spaces, you would buy 2 parking tickets and display them in the window of your motorhome, and you'd be okay. Now, in some car parks, that has changed. Some in Monmouth, and I believe the one at Matlock. Now, if you've got a motorhome that won't fit in a single car white lines, you have to park it in the coach car park. You'll say, well, that's okay, that's not too bad. However, you have to pre-book it. So you pre-book it in advance with your registration number, and you have to do that online. You can't just pull up, buy tickets, you have to pre-book it. So they have a recording when you're going to arrive, registration number of vehicle, and when you're going to depart. Now, because of all this confusion, the best way to make sure you're safe with any of this going on is to go to the web, and first of all you can search on, go on the internet, search on car park weight limits, and it will bring up all sorts of things. The standard weight limit is 3,500 kilograms, which is 3.5 metric tons as far as I understand. But check, you know, I know if you look at the Monmouth sites, they list the car parks and what restrictions apply to each of the car parks, and they have changed and they come into force this year. If you look for a website called, I think it's called Single Track, there's like a forum and there's lots of feedback. People are asking questions because some of the Volkswagen Golf cars exceed the weight limit of the car parks. There's lots of chit chat going on about this, but a lot of the fine print and fine details on parking on the signs are right at the bottom, and you think you're okay and you're not. Now I'm going to talk about another incident that I come across personally at Cromer. On the front, or not far from the cliffs and things like that, there's quite a few private car parks. So you drive along in your small motorhome, your camper van, and you drive along and you'll see a motorhome parked in a car park. You drive in that car park, you park between the white lines, you put your money in the slot and clear off. And because there's a motorhome in there already, you think you're okay. Well, it's a £50 fine, because in the fine print it says no motorhomes, but there's one there already, so you automatically assume you're okay. But the motorhome that's parked there already belongs to the owner of the car park, and he uses that to go to lunch in when he's not attending the pay or diverting the cars into the car park. So it's a fiddle. So the motorhome that is parked there is his, who owns the car park. And of course you drive past, think, oh, there's a motorhome there, I'll be alright. Park in, pay your money, don't read the small print, come back, you've got a parking ticket. Great. Absolutely marvellous. So just be very careful to do with car parks. You know, the restrictions are very strict now, and a lot of them only come into force this year. So if you've gone to places you were in last year and automatically assume they're the same, they're not. Okay, let's think about something else I can talk about. Watch out for these car parking rules you know, look them up yourself. Don't believe what I'm saying, but they're introducing weight restrictions. One is to do within major towns to stop commercial vehicles from polluting, and two is, I think it's probably another way of making money if you ask me, but these weight restrictions are ridiculous. Oh, there is one I forgot to mention. Weight restrictions. Bridges. Round this area I live, there's a lot of weight restrictions on the bridges, and they're limited to 3 tonne. Now if you've got a motorhome, one of the big ones, you're going to be 3.5. Now if you go over that bridge and you get caught, as far as I understand it, that is the same as driving without due care and attention. If you're over the weight limit and you cause damage to that bridge because you're not adhering to the rules of the road, I'm not sure whether your insurance would cover you for damaging that bridge. And if you damage a bridge, the costs involved, if they have to close the bridge for diverting traffic and all the work involved, could go into hundreds of thousands. So again, my advice is don't take the risk, you know. Be sensible about it. You know, you could easily slip up, and our van is over the weight of one of the local bridges. Although it doesn't look it, because I've seen bigger vehicles go over it, but I'm trying to keep safe, and I think everybody should. So thanks for watching so far, and please dislike this if you don't agree with me.